Good morning and welcome to the first video of the modern Stone Age. This is a little overview of the shop, kind of a little tour, and talk about what it takes to get some things done as far as working stone, cutting things, shaping it, and a bit about what we do here. So we'll start right here. This is our Jaguar Whisper, where we end up cutting different, it's a belt fed, essentially 2 conveyor belts through, 1 back down for the waste. We end up cutting different stone veneer, taking boulders, chopping them at about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, and getting the cobble flats that'll end up going on a wall, exterior of a home, fireplace, that sort of thing. We'll just walk around here for a moment. So this one does end up closing up, kind of all encased, and it's just, like I said, run by the conveyor belts. We do end up chopping brick as well, and just cutting the fronts off, usually about 5/8 inch or maybe 1/2 inch, to make sure that they go for a thin brick application. So we run that probably every other day or a few times a week kind of thing. We've got things to cut, whether it be brick, veneer, or pavers cutting down thin. And then we have some cutting pattern here that we're going to work the edges on for a pool deck, patio and pool deck. We've got a couple of pieces here and here that are going to be hearthstones. We got to chisel the edges, and this one looks like we got to put some notches in the back. So that's the other side of our equation, is cutting from slab material and working things for caps, hearths, sills, headers, surrounds, things like that. This is a real shop, so everything is going to be dusty and dirty. We've got some sludge on the floor here, and we do everything wet. So you'll see along the shop we've got these drains in the floor that go both ways, and then back over here underneath this big drainage bag is a pit in the ground. So that's kind of our first drainage into the pit. From the pit you can get sucked up to the drainage tank 1, and we set this on a timer where we can turn these off, and we set this on a timer so that it actually will open up and sludge out, essentially dumping the solids into the bag and letting the water drain out. We also have a secondary option on the tank 2 where we can hit it by hand. Just open that up, and that's actually running pretty darn clear. A lot of the time you'll end up with a bunch of muck and stuff coming out, so that's actually looking pretty good. From tank 2 it goes into tank 3. We've got the option to mix a little hardener chemical in there and bring the settlement to the ground. So the other thing, other than reusing the water, would be the waste. So what do we do with chunks of stone that we had taken out and little chips and things that we chisel off? Well, a lot of this stuff ends up going and being taken out and dumped and crushed. We have a company that hauls it out and crushes it. Ends up being used as road base and recon material for like Minnesota Department of Transportation. These are some scraps, some cutoffs we got to get rid of, clean up. But then we've got 2 forklifts that we run in here, and a finishing table here, which we've got the edge machine there. We're going to put some rounded edges and bullnose edges on some caps, and then we've got a finishing table here on the other side where we're working on some pieces. So we also have just a stand-up kind of table saw, chop saw, and then a drill press that's buried underneath those templates there as well for drilling holes, things like that. Basic tools, hammer and chisel. We use this kind of a rounded tip chisel for rock facing, where it's flat on one side, rounded on the other. We do have some other smaller chisels that would just be kind of coming to a point, and then the 4-inch So for thicker material, we want to chisel with a little more weight. And this is nice and sharp on both sides. And that's for like 4-inch and 6-inch material to chisel through. Otherwise, if you're working 2 1/4, 1.5 inch, we'd be using the other small chisel. We do have this here is one of our hand tools, kind of multi-purpose. So you can see this is a run by compressed air and water kind of a thing. These are pretty nifty. You could take this pad off the top here and actually put these drill bits, core bits, if you wanted to drill holes. You can put the grinding wheel on there to grind things away. So it's kind of a multi-purpose tool. We do have a couple of smaller bits to get into the corners of, like, say, an outlet box or just work in a small corner kind of a thing. So pretty basic hand tools between chisels and this kind of multi-purpose sander. And then we do have the edge machine here that we'll show you. I think right now we've got the bit on there for